we might sometimes, most of us, not all of us, but most of us, many of us, reach a point in their life where there is a situation that occurs, quite a difficult and unpleasant one. You can have someone who has a lot of grudge against you, that you have let go of, but they haven't, about some event that happened. And somehow they want revenge. And they maybe do and say things which are very detrimental to you. Now, there is a time where you can easily maybe just explain to people and give proof that they are really wrong. Or you can have a word with them. But sometimes you know that having a word with them is not much point, because there is something so distorted inside them that it's very difficult to have a dialogue with it at that particular time. So, and it's also very difficult to show to people that that is not quite true, what was said by that person or those persons. So I want to remind you of a story of the Buddha which is very interesting. So, as most of the time, he was staying near a village in the forest, and he would go during the day with some of his disciples and just see if people were willing to give them some food. They'd only eat once a day, not very much. And they would not go and say, oh, give me food, oh, I'm hungry, or nothing like that. They would just stand there and people would offer them. Now, the local priests, they became very jealous of the popularity the Buddha was having. And they felt he was taking away their business, and they were losing disciples and so forth, particularly because they believed a lot in a kind of religiosity based on rituals performed by the priest. So any problem you have, anything, you go to the priest and they'll perform those rituals. Now, so the Buddha instead was teaching that everything is within, and you know, you have to effect change from within through your own efforts, through your own path and so forth, with the help of the Buddha and the community and the teachings, but you had to do it yourself. So what they did, sadly, they murdered a local prostitute, and they buried her quite close to where Buddha and his disciples were staying. Then some of them went to the police and they said, look, that woman is being buried there, and the Buddha and his disciples did it. Now the police went there, they found the body. Of course, the Buddha denied that they'd ever done anything like that, but difficult to prove it. But because it was also difficult for the police to prove that they had done it, so the matter was left to rest for a while. But what happened was the villagers, somehow they were influenced by the priest, and somehow they lost affection towards the Buddha. So when the monks were arriving and seeing if they could get some food, they refused to feed them. The Buddha said, we are not going to leave because otherwise it'll make us look culprit, you know. At the end there is not much we can do to prove that we haven't done it, but trust into your connection to the path that you're leading, to the community, to the Sangha, and your connection to the Buddha mind. And so when they went to the village and the disciples were not giving them anything and insulting them, all they were saying was, the truth will prevail. Wonderful, isn't it? The truth will prevail. And within them, there was that connection, that feeling that they were standing on that truth, that integrity, that gives you strength, that gives you force, that gives you peace. So some time went by, and I think the disciples were just eating some roots that they were getting locally and maybe some fruits from the tree. So for somehow they survived it. Sometime later, one of the perpetrators, one of the priests, was consumed by guilt, and he says, I can't bear this. I have to go and tell the local police. I don't know what they were called in those days, whether it was called police or something. So they went to the police. I'm talking, that was 2,500 years ago in India. So they went to the local police and he said, look, I'm torn by guilt and I have to tell you the truth. The Buddha and his disciples, they did not commit that crime. It was actually my fellows and me, we did it. I'll take the punishment, but I cannot live my life with that sense of guilt and pain. And so the truth prevailed. And of course, the matter was settled. So what I invite you, and I invite myself, all of us, is to stand by that by which we feel connected to something higher, to life. Call it what you may. God, the Dharma, the path to salvation, humanity, something higher than the little ego. So stand by that connectedness and trust. And the truth will prevail.